The first named storm of the East Pacific season likely to form in the next few days, and the Hurricane Center has issued their forecast for the Atlantic season. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather. It's great to see you on a Thursday. Hope you're doing well. A lot to get into in this video. We'll talk about what's happening in the Pacific. We'll look at how things will be evolving in our area over the next couple of weeks tropically. I've got your island by island rainfall forecast as well. What do you say we get right into it? Meteo Mundo, sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. When a storm rolls through your area, you get hail damage, wind damage. If it's been a hurricane, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews, so go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. I want more information from you. Let me know in the comment section below what's been happening in your area. Give me the deets. Give me the 411. We'll break down what's happening right now. Temperature-wise in Fahrenheit, another toasty day as we've dried out a bit. A lot of mid and upper 90s Fahrenheit. Look, we've hit 34, 35 degrees Celsius in some areas. Triple-digit heat for portions of the Yucatan and Central America as well. A little bit cooler up in Bermuda. They've had some passing showers for today, so their temperatures are only in the 70s. I'm going to put on the winds, and then we'll go island by island with what's been happening on this Thursday. I'm going to start with my friends in the northwest Bahamas. Showers and storms beginning to develop. We've had pockets of rain, mainly over the Abacos for today. A few other showers and an isolated thunderstorm drifting over Andros and the Nassau New Providence area. This is what it looks like right now from the radar composite. And again, showers and storms will continue to come off of the southeast Florida coastline and make a run into the northern and northwest Bahamas for the remainder of the afternoon hours. But there's more on the way. More storms are coming out of the East Gulf of Mexico. And I mentioned this in yesterday's video where the best chance for storms might be tonight and overnight and through portions of our Friday. But you can clearly see Great Abaco has some showers and a few isolated storms. Some of that clipped Grand Bahama earlier in the day to the east of Lucaya and Freeport. And again, nice little thunderstorm, isolated, but right over the northern sides of Andros and Andros Town and trying to drift over portions of New Providence. It's not extremely widespread right now, but again, I think this is just the beginnings of a better opportunity for showers and storms to come our way here tonight and then through portions of our Friday as well. All right, back over to the satellite imagery. As you get farther south, central southeast Bahamas into the Turks and Caicos, it's been a lovely dry day, dry indeed. No showers and storms developing there. Few showers and storms on the southeast sides of Cuba right now towards Santiago de Cuba. Those will try and push to the north, but most of that activity will actually just stay on the mainland. Just like the last couple of days, we are getting some isolated showers and storms to develop over the last couple of hours here across portions of central and the western sides of Jamaica, which is fantastic news, right? Because it's been hot. I'll throw the temperatures back on. Has it been outrageously hot today? No, but the humidity is up. It feels pretty sticky and sweaty outside, doesn't it, my friends in Jamaica? But look at these storms, and they've been a little bit heftier today. Earlier in the mid-afternoon hours, right in the central part of the island, pretty good showers and storms. Some of that try to push south towards the Spanish Town area from Linstead, then towards the Maypen, Mandeville area, and then the thunderstorms have kind of just been building to the west through the later afternoon hours. So now they're a little bit more concentrated, portions of St. James and St. Elizabeth Parish, but especially Westmoreland and Hanover parishes. So, from the Savlamar area, Lucy, Negro, Montego Bay, same areas that got the storms late yesterday will have that opportunity again on this Thursday. But, I'm pretty happy. A little bit more widespread than I expected for today, and if nothing else, some cloud coverage to hopefully cool things off a bit. By the way, the other thing I mentioned that we might get into that large wave and strong wind advisory for the south coastal and offshore waters, it's back into effect. Winds are really freshening here. So Pedro Bank, Morant Bank, again, elevated seas 2 to 3 meters, 6 to 9 feet here. It's going to be a situation for the next few days, and I'll talk more about that coming up. Our friends in the Cayman Islands would love to take some of this moisture and just shove it over their area because it's high and dry again across those areas. We continue to see isolated showers developing over Hispaniola at the hour right now. Temperatures aren't outrageously hot, but we are drying out a bit, so it's more pockets of heavy rain. Again, no flood issues, at least in a widespread variety here for Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And again, maybe get a cooling shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon hours. Storms are more isolated again today in portions of Puerto Rico, but just like yesterday, where they have developed, which is mainly the western sides of the island, they're still relatively heavy. We've had a few flood advisories from time to time here in portions of Puerto Rico. Not outrageous, no flash flood warnings from the Aguadilla area to Isabela on over towards Arecibo. There's your pocket of rain. Notice no lightning strikes out of any of this at this point in time, but of the Aguadilla area back down to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not horrible in San Juan in at 84. Showers beginning to develop right over the San Juan area towards Carolina, and then a couple of other showers as well. Humacao on over towards the Fajardo area. Scattered rain will kind of develop on the eastern portions of the coastline there down towards the Yabacoa area. Scattered rain for Vieques and Culebra. Same situation for portions of the U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands as well, but a little more concentrated today. St. Thomas, St. John towards St. Croix. Some of those showers aren't bad. They're nice cooling showers. And because they're more isolated in nature, they're more than anything kind of embedded within our flow of trade winds out here. And that's going to be kind of the story over the next couple of days, where I expect the trade winds to basically throw some of this moisture into play. We're going to get fast moving showers, but nothing is going to be extremely concentrated. Here's what it looks like on the visible satellite imagery. It'll be a little bit easier to tell on the viz imagery the trade winds coming in with the fast moving showers. So nothing that's going to be very organized. Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Bart's, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, St. Eustatius on over towards Saba. Let's get back these wind gusts here. Again, temperatures haven't been horrible for today, mainly in the 80s Fahrenheit. So you're, 29, 30, 31 degrees Celsius at worst in most spots. It's also been very interesting, a mixture of sun and clouds, right? From time to time, partly cloudy, but some of the islands have been relatively cloudy across the Lesser Antilles on this Thursday. If you've been seeing more clouds than sun, let me know in the comments section below. But again, the winds are up, and we've had no extremely fresh easterlies today from the Montserrat area, Guadalupe, Dominica. Again, pockets of heavier rain, but fairly isolated. Same situation, St. Lucia, from time to time, partly cloudy, other times relatively cloudy. A little bit more cloud coverage today for the Windward Islands in general. Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. Fresh wind over Trinidad. We've had some heavier rain. Again, this is an area where the moisture quality is going to be more significant here, especially TNT. And really, if we're just kind of dividing things, Trinidad even more than Tobago for a better opportunity for showers. Some of this will last during the evening in the overnight hours. And by the way, before I get too far out in the forecast for Puerto Rico, we'll talk more about it coming up as well, but more rain coming tonight through tomorrow morning. So when you wake up on Friday in Puerto Rico, we could have some pretty widely scattered showers. It's been a hot, beautiful, breezy day in the ABC Islands. Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, wind gusts of around 30 miles an hour, not buying any rain. Unfortunately, that rain chance has kind of gone away in the short term. Now, I mentioned this in the last couple of videos as well. As we get farther into time and we start to see this area potentially wrap up into Alvin, the first named storm of the Pacific season, moisture is going to start to wrap in around this. So that's going to lift all of the moisture that we've had in Panama and Costa Rica lately and drive it north and west, deeper into Nicaragua, deeper into Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala eventually as well. So showers and storms are trying to make a run up towards the Bay Islands and the northern sides of Honduras. They haven't got there yet, but it's kind of a slow and steady thing. Now out ahead of that, it's been kind of more of a southeast wind than anything. San Pedro Sula, again, they have a little bit of an northeast wind, but it's mainly east if anything else, but it's been hot out there. And again, temperatures inland sides of Belize, like San Ignacio, over 100 degrees. Look, I don't want to give the hopes up that there's a massive amount of rain coming to northern Honduras and Guatemala and Belize and the southern sides of Quintana Roo, but there will be an opportunity to get some showers associated with this. You get farther north, and guess what? You're still going to be dry. Merida, Campeche areas, Cancun, Cozumel, the air is still very bone dry here. And again, that green on this water vapor imagery shows you that moisture-laden air, which is beginning to billow up. And then again, into the eastern sides of the Gulf of Mexico, additional showers and storms coming for the Bahamas. So that's what it looks like in the short term. We'll get into the forecast for you right now. And as we do so, I really Really appreciate those who take a quick second and hit that like button. It really helps the channel out more than you think if you get anything out of these videos. I really appreciate you doing that. Obviously, thanks for subscribing. Almost at 51,000 subscribers. I'd love to just keep that number going up and up. And again, thanks for sharing this channel with your family and friends. One thing that's going to limit the rain in kind of an overall broad situation is the Sahara dust. We're already seeing some of that in the eastern sides of the Caribbean, but it's only going to get more concentrated as we get into the weekend and early and mid next week, and it is going to drive all the way through the Caribbean next week. Where you see those purples and those oranges, those are fairly high concentration levels of Saharan dust. We've seen it in the Windward Islands the last couple of days. We'll see it in the Lesser Antilles in general, but look again this weekend, brushing Puerto Rico and then Jamaica, Hispaniola, and then right on into Central America and the Yucatan. So get ready for that haze to be a factor. In the short term, it should suppress rain development some. Okay? We're still going to have some pockets of heavier rain, but ultimately we're going to start to see more tropical moisture reemerge as well. So the first thing I want to do is go island by island over the next 3 days, and then we're going to get deeper into the tropics and what everything looks like. So let's break out the model over the next 3 afternoons. We'll start in the Bahamas, an area that has been bone dry, could use some rain. It's going to be the northern and the northwest Bahamas with our best chance. Again, we'll get kind of waves of showers and storms coming off of the Florida East Coast. So Walker's Key, Grand Bahama, Bimini, the Abacos, Andros, New Providence, Eleuthera. You've got the best opportunity tonight, tomorrow, maybe again early on Saturday. A little bit, kind of iffy if we're going to have moisture enough to lift it up and get us some showers on Saturday, but there's a low end chance. Now you get down towards Cat Island and Exuma and Long Island and Rum Key and San Salvador, places like that, and the Acklands. It's a spotty shower, guys. That's it. Same thing for our friends Grand Turk, Turks and Caicos in general. If you catch a brief shower, consider yourselves lucky, because there's just not going to be much that pushes that far south and east. All the showers and storms in Cuba are going to be developing right along the central sections of the island and not moving much. We're not going to get a huge push of southerly winds to drive this rain back into the Bahamas or the Turks and Caicos as we sometimes see. They'll be more localized than anything else. Another area that's desperate for some rain is the Cayman Islands, and I just don't have much on the board over the next couple of afternoons. Look, it's going to be lovely. We'll enjoy that, but I know, and several of you have commented just how dry it's been. A spotty shower is the best I can do you over the next 3 days. I still don't have a ton of rain in the forecast for Jamaica. We have done fairly well to get some storms developing in the afternoon hours with the heat of the day, mainly in interior hilly sections of the island that will then push towards the west coast. But some of that activity will also try and hit the southern coastline as well. We'll talk about the winds coming up as well. I want to make sure I don't forget about that. The winds are going to be a factor here in Jamaica on the south side of the island. For my friends in Haiti and the Dominican Republic, it's more isolated and scattered than anything else tomorrow and through the weekend. From Santiago de los Caballeros on over towards Puerto Plata, the Samana Peninsula, Santo Domingo, Punta Cana, all with scattered rain chances, but many dry hours and locations, drier than what it has been lately as well. Morning showers and storms will try and develop over Puerto Rico tomorrow, and then in general will dry out a bit. We're still not going to have a completely dry day through Sunday, but rain chances overall will be coming down. But guess what's happened, Puerto Rico, and you guys know this, that as it's dried out, the heat advisories are right back into the forecast, with feels like temperatures at or above 100 degrees Fahrenheit in many locations with the heat of that afternoon, especially if you get the morning rain and then the sun comes back out. It's awful. Living in Florida, I'm with it. It's horrible to get the morning rain, because then that humidity is a huge factor the rest of the day. You could see that tomorrow. Passing showers with our brisk trade winds for the Virgin Islands. Nothing very concentrated. I'm not expecting any heavier rain. It's the exact same situation for all of the Lesser Antilles until we get down to the southern Windward Islands. But again, from Anguilla to Barbuda, Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis, South, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, our trades will provide us some showers. But again, many dry hours and locations. Now, one thing we could still get a fair amount of the next few days is cloud coverage. I think it's partly cloudy at best. There'll be some sunshine and full sunshine from time to time, but that's not going to be the bulk of our daylight hours. The bulk of the daylight hours will at least be partly cloudy, if not from time to time, mostly cloudy or even overcast on occasion. St. Lucia south towards Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada, isolated scattered showers at best. Better rain chances, Trinidad and Tobago, again, some of that during the evening and the overnight hours, but a few showers should redevelop in the afternoon. It is Trinidad that could still see pockets of heavier rain. At this point in time, there's no alerts for any excessive rainfall, but I'll be monitoring that. A few showers are possible in Nueva Esparta. I do not have a lot of rain in the ABC Islands. Sadly, our best chance for showers has gone by the wayside here, and at least momentarily, we're right back to some very hot conditions and very breezy winds as well. Showers will continue. Panama, Costa Rica. Again, this moisture lifts farther north. Now look, it's not going to be an outrageous amount of moisture for Honduras and coastal Guatemala and Belize, but there'll be the opportunity for Utila and Roatan and Guanaja and Dangriga and the Belize City area to get some showers the next few days. Passing showers, we'll take it. Breezy winds from time to time out of the east. You get farther north, areas that could desperately use the rain in the Yucatan to cool things off. Outside of a rogue isolated shower, I don't have anything else in the forecast for you, friends. And again, it's kind of more just right across portions of the inland sides of Cuba for the rain chance. For the Bahamas, again, tonight, tomorrow morning, northwest Bahamas, 40% chance, much more isolated Saturday, Sunday. If we catch a couple of showers, central southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, that's not a bad deal, but not a lot. 50 tomorrow in Cuba, back down to 30 on Sunday. Very isolated in the Cayman Islands, slightly higher again, Belize City. I don't want to get your hopes up, but there will be a few showers moving in, especially in coastal areas. Cancun and Cozumel virtually dry. I still don't have a high chance in Jamaica, like I said, but maybe you guys will continue to outperform and get a better coverage than 20% chance in the afternoon hours. Dominican Republic's chances are isolated to scattered at best. Still good rain chances tomorrow in Puerto Rico, again, especially in the morning, and then more isolated Saturday and Sunday and hotter as well. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, 30 to 40% chance. Bermuda will have some decent rain chances. They are getting some rain right now. Another 50% chance tomorrow, then 30 over the weekend. 30 to a 40% chance for Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis. Antigua and Barbuda, 40% chance for showers the next 3 days. Scattered. I've taken these numbers slightly down. And again, I don't expect there to be a lot of heavier rain. There'll be many dry hours. If you have outdoor weekend plans across the Lesser Antilles, we're looking fine. It's just not going to be this completely sunny, completely dry forecast. Again, also fairly brisk winds as well, especially on the windward sides of the islands right now with the winds out of the east. Martinique, Dominica, 50% chance tomorrow. A little bit lower down towards St. Vincent and St. Lucia as well. And the Grenadines, of course. Barbados, a 30% chance the next few days. Slightly higher in Grenada. Better rain chances, Trinidad and Tobago. And again, Trinidad even higher than Tobago. Still solid rain chances, Suriname and Guyana. Very isolated Nueva Esparta and a few showers, but not a lot for the ABC Islands. For our boaters, again, building wave heights, central, western sides of the Caribbean. So ABC Islands, southern coastline of the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, pushing towards Costa Rica, Panama, Nicaragua, and Honduras, and eventually back into portions of coastal Guatemala and Belize as well. Again, strong easterlies. Not bad forecast as we get towards the Memorial Day weekend in the Bahamas and for southeast Florida as well, and the Gulf of Mexico. Northwest side's looking pretty good, but central, western sides of the Caribbean, southwest Caribbean, towards the Lesser Antilles, that's where I expect the freshest winds. Now, rainfall totals. Well, guess what? They're going to be a little bit more generous in a couple of spots. Nothing extremely concentrated, but more green on the map in the northwest areas than what we've seen lately. And you can see that building rain up through Central America. You can see some of the pockets of heavier rain in the northwest side of the Bahamas. And then you just have very scattered rain for the greater and the Lesser Antilles overall. Nothing extremely concentrated here, but I don't think anyone's virtually dry. Hopefully we get a little bit of rain back towards the Yucatan as well. I mentioned the winds, and before we get into the tropics, I got to bring up the wind fields over the next few days because these will be freshening winds, and I just want the boaters and I want those who are going to be impacted by this to be well aware. Especially here, again, central, western sides of the Caribbean. If you look at this map, obviously, this is telling you the wind direction. The winds are coming out of the east. The arrows are going to tell you the intensity of the wind. Purples are going to be 20-mile-an-hour winds. Pinks are 25-mile-an-hour winds. So these are fresh, sustained winds in the Caribbean where we'll have gusts in the ABC Islands over 30 miles an hour. We'll have gusts off the southern coastline of Jamaica over 30 miles an hour as well. That's why we have the large wave and the strong wind advisory there for Pedro, Morant Banks, and just the southern coastal and offshore waters. But again, Lesser Antilles, fresh east winds here, 20, 25 from time to time. Certainly not consistent, but we'll get some gusts like that. But it is just a rock solid easterly breeze through the entire area here. All right, so let's get into the overall tropical outlook. I'm going to go back over to our enhanced satellite imagery. First thing I want to show you again, if you guys did not know, we have our first wave coming off of the West African coast. It has, as typical, gotten into the Atlantic basin and virtually died out. On the heels of that is another strong looking wave coming off the West African coast. But this time of the year, these things fizzle out before they get anywhere near our area. Again, on average, the Atlantic hurricane season has 60 to 70 tropical waves that form somewhere in the Atlantic or in the Caribbean. So we've got a lot to get into here. This is just the beginnings of that. Now, the influence of what could be happening in Central America. And again, I believe this is just a test, so don't worry about that, all right? As you've known, my system puts these tests on as various agencies work out their systems before the start of hurricane season, so that is nothing. But this is where we could get Alvin, and it's now in orange, now a 50% chance of development south of the Acapulco area. But again, in the short term for us, Central America, portions of Mexico, we will be pulling in moisture on the eastern side. So there will be some rain chances associated with this as we go through the next 4 or 5 days. Now, towards the end of the forecast, what happens? Well, as probably Alvin wraps up and moves away, it'll actually pull in some drier air. So while it's decent, it's not fantastic. Let me get rid of this test area here so I don't confuse anyone. I don't want to do that. But here you go, from the GFS model. And again, the European model is right on line with this as well, that, you know, in a 4 to 5 day time period, more than likely we'll get Alvin, the first named storm of the Pacific season, all right? So letting this form. Now, the interesting thing is that this should probably hug the coastline of Mexico, you know, relatively tightly, right? We'll see if it wants to bend back up or whether it wants to actually stay west and kind of just move up the western sides of Mexico and maybe towards the west coast of the United States, but you know, that's down the road. In the shorter term, you can clearly see that spin. Now, does it hold together? Does it fall apart? That's another big question, but in the 4 to 5 day time frame here, you can see this, it does look healthy enough to potentially become a tropical storm. Again, 50% chance already from the Hurricane Center, probably only going up from there in the shorter term. But you can clearly see that this will drive in some moisture into Central America, Mexico overall, helping to bring some rain to areas that need it. Now again, I want to focus on the Central and the Western Caribbean for a secondary area. This is something that the GFS model has been holding on to the last several days. We have this monsoon trough. We have that broad area of low pressure off the Colombian coastline. We're finally starting to see that lift a little bit north in latitude. And you can first of all see that waves of energy and just tropical moisture get ejected north. But the potential for some form of a tropical disturbance to move into either the Central or the Western Caribbean right towards the end of the month. And again, you know, we're not too far out in time to be discussing this because, you know, we're not going to get into crazy specifics as to what this might end up being. But what I do see on the models is more active weather for the Central and the Western Caribbean starting in about 7 days and through at least the first week of June. But this is definitely the area where if anything were to try and spin up, this is where we see it in June. But again, a disturbance is much different than a tropical storm or depression even. So it's something to simply monitor. But if you're looking for wetter weather in these areas, I think we've got it. Now, this is the GFS model, right? Let's look at what the hurricane season forecast is going to be. This is from NOAA, which is going to be the overview of the National Hurricane Center. The NHC is a branch of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Easy for me to say. They came out with their forecast, and this is what they've got. 13 to 19 named storms, 6 to 10 hurricanes, 3 to 5 major. That is slightly above an average season. You see the 2024 numbers on the right-hand side of your screen. They have it overall as a 60% chance of being an above average season. So all of these categories will more than likely be at average or slightly above. And again, nothing that I've seen has forecasted to be at a below average season. We're either teetering on average or we're at least above. Something to keep an eye on there. All right, so let me show you what the GFS model has the morning of June 3rd. You can see various areas of low pressure, but you saw that big blob, right? You saw that big blob? That's what it has. It does have a closed center of circulation there somewhere in the Western Caribbean. Again, we don't want to pinpoint anything, but it just shows you what I'm looking at, that it's just going to be a bit more active here. Western, Northwest Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico. That's the GFS model, okay? Well, here's the European model, right? European model still has some activity in the Eastern Pacific, but it also has one area of low pressure in the western side of the Caribbean. It has an even stronger area of low pressure in the western Gulf of Mexico and a weak system coming off of the United States East Coast. But you get the idea that this is where the concentration of all the activity is on both models. You look out farther east, it's much less active. Doesn't mean we're not going to get, again, some daily showers, but when we're looking for potential for more disturbed weather, more and increased tropical moisture, Western Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, I think is the highlight as we get towards the end of the month and early in June. You know, I'll be watching it for you guys. You can follow us across all social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, it's mymediamundo@gmail.com. As always, just please include your name, where the picture or video is from. You want to give me a brief description, I appreciate that as well. As always, Media Mundo is sponsored by the lead law firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. So if a storm moves through your area, make sure you reach out to them. Go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. You have a specific question about the forecast, as always, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. I'm happy to answer that. And while you're down there, thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Friends, have a great rest of your day. I'm back tomorrow with your latest forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, right here at Media Mundo.